Welcome to the Singer's Guide podcast with me, Tessa. This is the show for ambitious singers who want more than just scales and song practice. We'll talk about the things regular singing lessons don't always have time to cover. Because being a singer is about more than just your voice. It's about confidence, preparation, and all the little skills that make performing effortless. I'm excited to be your guide and your fellow traveller as we explore them all. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Singer's Guide podcast. Episode 5. It's like the tricky second album, isn't it? Halfway, maybe halfway. I don't know. How many episodes does a season have? I feel like 5 might be halfway. Maybe 6 is halfway. Anyway, stop waffling, Tessa. Let's get on with today's topic. Now, today I'm going to talk about practice. I love to talk about practice. In fact, just yesterday, I was speaking to Alexa from BAST. They have the Singing Teachers Talk podcast, and I believe that my episode is coming out between my previous episode 4 about cooldowns and this one about a Quiet Practice Toolkit. And in my discussion with her, we talked loads about lots of different types of practice and my views on practicing and all that kind of stuff. And so this is not going to be the last time that this podcast touches on practice, but today we are talking specifically about how to practice when you can't make a lot of noise. Overwhelmingly, the message that I get on social media the most regarding practice problems is that people are in the house and you don't either want to be heard by them or you don't want to disturb them. Sometimes that they disturb you. But the problem always seems to come back to this idea of when I am practicing, I need to be loud and that is an issue. And I don't disagree that some practice does need to be loud, but I don't think that we should, what's that expression? Throw the baby out with the bathwater? A weird expression. Anyway, I don't think that we should completely abandon our practice just because we're in a circumstance that means that we can't make any noise. If we want to practice, there are many things that we could practice and still be contributing to our development as a vocalist, as a singer, without making any noise. Sometimes they're just harder to think of in the moment. So here's what I've done. I've created a toolkit for you. It's got 3 different voiceless options, and it comes with ready-to-go worksheets that you can fill in, either fillable online or you can print them off and write on them, which will help you to keep progressing your singing, keep moving your practice forward. It'll give you a plan for the next time you can make noise, and it will hopefully take away some of the frustration that you find when you want to practice, but for whatever reason, you can't make a noise. Maybe it's just really late. Maybe you don't have a voice. These will work for that too. So in this episode, I'm going to talk through each of the 3 tools that are in this toolkit, talk about why they're useful, talk you through the worksheet, and you can download the Quiet Practice Toolkit for free. The link is in my show notes, or if you follow me on social media, it's also in my bio-y thing. What's that called? Link in bio. Come on, Tessa. What's going on today? Right. So we've already covered why you might need or want to practice without using your voice. And I'm going to present 3 different ways to do this today. There are more, and there's a whole section within the Singers Practice Hub, which is my membership, where I've given you loads of options for voiceless practice. So if this is something that you really do come up against, I want to practice, but I can't make a noise, I would urge you to have a little look at the Singers Practice Hub after, of course, you've downloaded this free resource, and the Hub will be able to help you with that. So number 1 of the toolkit is lyrics based. Now, there are a lot of things that we can do with lyrics that don't involve singing them out loud. We can simply try and remember them, because sometimes that's quite tricky in itself. And we can do that in a number of different ways. You can read through them, you can listen to them in headphones, or you can write them out. And the worksheet that I've provided in the toolkit does have a space for you to write them out. Of course, you can copy and paste. That's fine. But I find that it is much more helpful to be doing a physical thing whilst also reading, maybe also reciting at a quiet level, in case you do have those people that you can't disturb. So writing down the lyrics, practice number 1. And then you can annotate those lyrics. Where are the tricky parts? What are the rhythms that need a little bit of extra attention? Are there any moments where you forget the melody line? You can just annotate your lyrics. It's completely silent, but it is really going to help, especially if you have a visual memory, because then you'll be able to picture that sheet and go, oh yeah, I circled that bit. On the other side of the sheet, I have put a little column for the song's emotions, and we're going to do what I call emotion mapping. Now, I've put some considerations on the sheet too. I'm just going to read them out so we can have a chat about them. How do you feel at the start? Now, that's you, the character, the person singing, not you, the singer, who's like, I'm apprehensive about the high notes. What is the emotion of the character in the song? That character could be you, or it could be, if you're in musical theatre land, for example, it could be the character that you are playing. What is making you feel that way? So we're just building context here for the reason why the song is being sung, the reason why the lyrics are coming out the way they are. How do you feel by the end? What has changed, if anything? It might just be a heightened version of that emotion that you started with, or you could have changed. Why? What was the context behind that? And what feelings do you travel through as you go that way, linked with the lyrics that you are singing? Can you pinpoint the shifts? Can you identify where the emotions are shifting and what that might do to the way that you perform this song? So there you go, less than 10 minutes, pick a song, write down the lyrics, and then emotion map the song. There are further practice ideas on that sheet as well. If you're enjoying this kind of contextual research, you can go deeper into that. As I said, you can also use it to annotate the lyrics. Fantastic. So that is voiceless option number 1, lyrics. So Quiet Practice Toolkit. Tool number 2, this one is about listening and self-reviewing, which is incredibly important as a singer. Here's the suggested exercise for this worksheet. Grab a recording of yourself that you have previously made, because remember, we're being quiet. Of course, you can use this when you're not being quiet too, and you can record one now. But grab a recording of a performance that you've done either in actual performance or just whilst you're singing through in a practice session. And the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do on the worksheet is tell me 3 things that you have done well, that you are happy with, proud of, things that you can say, yes, that is a positive. This is really important and I don't want you to skip it. The more practice you get at highlighting the good things, the positives, the easier it will become. Sometimes at the beginning of this, it's like, oh, I don't know. I remembered the words. That's fine. Just keep training yourself to find the positives in what you're doing. It's so important, not only for your singing, but also for your self-esteem and your confidence. We need to be confident up on stage. We need to be able to know when things are right. We need to have that confidence in ourselves to go, that's good. So that's the first job on this worksheet, and it is vital. Do not skip it. Okay. The next thing is you are allowed to pick up to 3 things that you would like to improve. Don't go more than 3 and make them as specific as possible. Don't go general, oh, I just want to sing better, or my high notes need help. Try and be more detailed. The high note at this point in the song feels tight. I would like it to feel easier. The rhythm of that specific phrase was not accurate. I would like to get it tighter. Whatever it is, make sure that it's specific, because the next thing you're going to do on this worksheet is pick one thing, one actionable thing that you can do the next time you get to practice. And if you say, I want to work on my rhythm, that's not going to give you an actionable thing. If you say, in that section of chorus 2, the rhythm is not quite right, then that's going to give you a much more specific thing to do in your next practice. And I've written on the sheet as well, what tools can you use? So taking our example, you could say, I will next break down the rhythm. I mean, you could do this voiceless, if I'm honest. I will break down the rhythms. I will go slow. I will make sure that I nail it at a slower speed before quickening it up. Or going back to my high notes are not good. The high note at the end of the bridge feels tight. So maybe that's the thing that you want to work on. The specific tools that you're going to try are, I'm going to narrow the vowels and see whether that helps. I am going to engage in some movement and see if that helps. You don't have to know the specific tool. There is any number of things that you can try. Just be curious, but make a note of it. And then this sheet becomes, the next time you can practice with your voice, when you're not worried about disturbing anybody, this becomes what you do. This is your 10-minute practice next time. So efficient. Oh my goodness. And the final tool in this Quiet Practice Toolkit is a lip syncing tool, and it gives you emotional prompts for lip syncing. Now, a very brief little story. This idea of lip syncing and how powerful it can be was taught to me by a singing teacher, vocal coach called Jeremy Ryan Mossman. If you don't follow him on social media, go and follow him. He is a fantastic singing teacher. I really love his approach. He's very knowledgeable, but very accessible in the way that he talks about things. And I went to a session where it was all based on lip syncing. Now, the idea of this is that you are singing with the full commitment and intensity of performance, just with your voice turned off. If you've ever watched something like RuPaul, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's full commitment, just with no voice. And in this class with Jeremy, he asked us to lip sync a phrase, and then he gave us different emotions to work on. And the one that really stood out for me was sad. He gave us a prompt of being really sad. And whilst I was singing, I noticed things that I wouldn't have noticed when I was being distracted by my voice. My larynx went lower. I had a lot of cry in my face. These are things that I didn't tend to do when I was voiced. And so this is where the inspiration of this worksheet has come from. I have given you 12 emotion prompts. You're going to pick 3, you're going to pick your phrase, and you're going to sing your phrase, but unvoiced, and make notes and observations on how it felt. How did it feel with your breath? How did it feel in your face? How did it feel in your throat? And you're going to write down these observations. And then once again, when you've got a practice session, when you can be voiced, you're going to try this again, but then compare it. So sing it voiceless and then put the voice on, see what happens. It's important to note here as well that the emotion does not need to match with the song's emotion. So within the first worksheet, we were talking about emotions and the emotions that match with the lyrics. This is not that. You can pick anything. Maybe you're singing a lullaby, but you're going to sing it angry. Why not? Just to have a play. It's curiosity. It's not about emotional connection to the lyric here. It's more about the emotional connection to your voice. These are just tools to explore. They don't have to correlate to the lyrics, the story. Does that make sense? Good. I'm glad it does. So there you go. There is a quick rundown of the Quiet Practice Toolkit, which, as I've said, you can get for free down in the show notes. And if you like this kind of stuff, you want more voiceless practice options, please do check out the Singers Practice Hub, singerspracticehub.com, because there's loads of options there. And I think that just because you can't make a noise doesn't mean that you can't practice. And at the end of this episode, as with the end of every episode, I am asking, what is a thing that you wish you'd learned earlier in your singing journey? It might be how to practice. I certainly wish I'd learned that. It might be how powerful lip syncing is. Or it might be something that I have never thought of that I still am yet to learn, because that's the beauty of singing, right? There are so many things. And oftentimes we come to information later than maybe we wish we had. So I'm asking, what is one of those things that you wish you'd learned sooner? And I'm going to collate all of those and we're going to make a podcast episode out of them. So please do send them. You can either send them as a comment or send me a DM on social media. And I can't wait to read all your answers and agree and say, yeah, I wish I'd learned that sooner too. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening and happy singing. Thanks for tuning in to the Singer's Guide podcast. You'll find all the resources and links from this episode in the show notes. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a fellow singer who'd love it too. And don't forget to connect with me on socials at Tessa Smith Music. Keep singing, keep practicing, and I'll see you next time.